Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. It is Monday evening, and a couple hours ago, Blizzard released a massive blue post with a lot of sweeping changes to Warlock. General Tree, Destro, Demo, Aff, they've all been changed, and the changes are so big to Destro, or to Demo and Aff, even some Destro stuff, that it feels like the talents we got 2 weeks ago were almost just put out because these weren't done yet. Some of these changes are massive, and while it was a bit of a relief to feel like, okay, I'm caught up with Warlock changes with the last video I put out, at the same time, I'm okay with these. The majority of them are pretty awesome. Some might need a little bit of tuning here and there, but overall, yeah, I think things are in a pretty good spot. Now, I did release the feedback video less than 24 hours ago, depending when you're watching this video, and a lot of the feedback from the document and things we talked about in the past on stream and in previous videos has actually been done and applied to Affliction, Demo, Destro. So we'll talk about that today. We're going to talk about each change and just go from there, I suppose. Now, we don't have actual trees out, and there are a lot of missing abilities. Like, spoilers ahead, Decimating Bolt is gone, I believe. Dimensional Rifts are Destro only. So we have 2 capstone traits in the general tree. We have no idea what they are anymore, which is very cool. So I would assume tomorrow during Alpha, we'll find out what they are, and we will go from there. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it, starting off with, well, the changes. Alrighty, so right off the bat, getting into the class tree, Blizzard mentioned here that basically they listened to feedback and they came to the same conclusions that they've heard through the feedback, that there's a bit of button bloat when it comes to the general class tree, which flows over into like other specs like Destro, Aff, and Demo. So they've made changes. In lieu of this, we've cut out a lot of the throughput-centric talents. Devastating Bolt, I am 99% sure this is Decimating Bolt. There's no other Devastating, or there's no other Bolt in this tree in general. I'm pretty sure this is gone, which overall I'm happy with. I wanted it for Demo, but it's fine. It's what it is. It might even still be a part of Demo. We just don't know yet. Devastating Bolt being this, each of the packs. So that is Pact of Anilion, or Pact of the Iridar, Pact of Anilion, and Pact of the Imp Mother. I actually liked all these. I'm curious to see what they replaced them with, because like this is a DPS trait. These are all DPS traits. And if you notice here, when we read through the changes, they don't highlight any new DPS talents. So I'm sure there's going to be some, but as of now, we don't really know. While also introducing some utility talents in their place. Here are some examples. So some examples, there's obviously more, right? So number 1, Soul Armor. When your health drops below 35%, the percentage of damage shared via your Soul Link is increased by an additional 5%. Demonic Resilience reduces the chance you'll be critically struck by 4. Good lord. All damage your primary demon takes is reduced by 15%. Cool to see. Abyss Walker, using Demonic Circle, Teleport, or Demonic Gateway, reduces all damage you take by 4% for 10 seconds, which is, it might be a 2.0, it still seems sort of mediocre, but it's okay, I suppose. And Fell Synergy. Soul Leech also heals you for 25% and your pet for 50% of the damage it grants. Soul Link has been divided into 2 parts, Fell Synergy and itself, the damage reduction portion. The reason for this change is Soul Link offers too much value for a single target node or talent node, which I sort of agree with. Soul Link is very strong for what it does, and having it broken down into 2 is fine. Chances are pretty high you'll probably still take them. So yeah, that said, Fell Synergy and Soul Link are very close to one another, and neither are multi-rank. So there we go. Additionally, the following abilities are now implemented and testable. So both being Summon Jailer and Inquisitor's Gaze, it's now Summon Soulkeeper, was Summon Jailer, and Inquisitor's Gaze. So we're not sure about this. The big question with these before the demo changes today, spoilers ahead, Decon is gone, was that do they give stamina? Do they work towards Decon? Does your Tyrant siphon stamina from them? Now, there is the question of, does the new version of like Decon, which isn't really Decon, gain value from these? We'll find out tomorrow when these are active. But yeah, so pretty cool. They will both be working, and that is pretty cool. And they also made changes to Accrue Vitality leading into Demonic Circle. We've also rearranged some talents, such as Accrue Vitality, and making Demonic Circle much more accessible. So yeah, pretty cool. We'll see where it's at in the general tree tomorrow. Tankiness, we might be even more tanky depending on the nodes that are available. But I'm really curious to see what replaces all 3 packs in both Decimating Bolt and Dimensional Rift, because this is spoilers ahead again, a part of the Destro tree now. Alrighty, Affliction. Our primary goals with this pass of Affliction are to remove a lot of the button bloat introduced during the first pass, remove excess rotational maintenance, and focus on Affliction's single target toolkit, which is exactly what we've been talking about, both myself and other content creators in this left inside the tree here with Pandemic Invocation, Shadow's Embrace, Malefic Wrath, Deathbolt, ID, Nightfall, Dot Maintenance. Yeah, this is what we've wanted to see for a while. With these goals in mind, we've removed Deathbolt, Death Dealer, Pact of the Nathrezim, and Malefic Wrath. And I can tell you right now, this already goes a very long way in making this part of Affliction, this build, feel much better. But it gets even better. With space being freed up a bit, we have some new talents and changes that we're excited to get feedback on. Number 1, this is a big one. Creeping Death. This is almost word for word what we said in the video last night, the feedback document as well. Creeping Death no longer decreases the duration of your damage over time effects. So I'm assuming by this wording, which could be a little clearer, is that Creeping Death is now literally Rapid Contagion, just at 15% and not 33%. It is a passive, dots occur 15% more often, go away ability. I could be wrong, but the wording on this implies that it is that, which is very, very cool if true, and probably a very, very powerful capstone talent on its own. That is a strong effect to have. I mean, doubling that effect costs 3 shards on a half-minute cooldown in Contagion. So very, very strong. We'll see where it's at tomorrow, but I'm very happy with that change. Number 2, Malefic Affliction. Malefic Rapture, which is still here, but it changed. Causes your active unstable affliction, singular, so UA is still limited to 1, I would assume, to deal 5/10% additional damage up to 1530 for the rest of its duration. So, it stacks 3 times, basically. So yeah, casting Malefic Rapture causes your active UA to deal 5, 10, it stacks 3 times more damage for the rest of its duration. So this sort of like encourages, I mean, it buffs Rapture windows, right? Whenever you have your UA up. Now, I would assume you probably still follow Rapture window sequencing, but when you do, let's say you have a large buff to your UA. People want dots to do damage. This makes dots do damage. It'll be like a priority mob thing with only your UA getting a damage buff, right? But it's still a dot increase with Malefic Affliction, and you're rapturing as well, which is nice. So I like this a lot. Big fan of this as well. Number 3, Doom Bloom. Good lord. A choice against Dread Touch. So this here and this here, I'm going there. This here and this here on the same row. If corruption, or the same node, same talent. If corruption damages a target affected by your unstable affliction, it has a 10% chance per stack of Malefic Affliction to deal shadow damage to nearby enemies. So it looks like this caps out at 3 stacks based on, basic Florida math here. So if corruption deals damage and you have 3 stacks of Malefic Affliction, it's a 30% chance per stack for it to deal shadow damage to nearby enemies. So, I mean, this sort of like encourages the Rapture playstyle in Mythic Plus and heavy AoE and stack council-based fights, all that kind of stuff, versus this being Dread Touch. Once again, a choice against Doom Blossom. If Malefic Affliction exceeds 3 stacks, the target instead takes 20% additional damage from your damage over time effects for 6 seconds. Actually, okay, this is odd. So I'm going to be honest. I thought this capped out at 3. It might go past this. It might be like possible to exceed 3 stacks and just not gain a damage amp. There might also be a talent that leads from Malefic Affliction into like another node saying it now stacks to 5, right? So this could have a 1 in 2 chance, 50%, possibly. It could just stack past 3 and not give you a damage effect. But if it exceeds 3 stacks, so that's 4+, the target instead takes 20% additional damage from your damage over time effects for 6 seconds, which is pretty, this is driving me crazy, which is pretty wild. Because you already have Haunt, you already have Haunted Soul, I would assume. Even more damage amps. This is a damage amp to all of your dots, not just UA. So it helps like make that Malefic Affliction spender more of an AoE or more of a general dot spender, and it doesn't just buff UA on its own, right? So we have Soul Eater's Gluttony. Whenever unstable affliction deals damage, the cooldown of Soul Rot is reduced by 0.5 in 1 second. This is driving me crazy, chat. I'm sorry. I gotta go over here. I don't know what this guy's doing. I'm not gonna edit that out either. So when it deals damage, it reduces the cooldown of Soul Rot by 0.5 in 1 second. Now, I don't know, honestly, how often UA deals damage. I could look it up and run some numbers on it. But this might mean that your Rapture windows become like 45-ish seconds based around your PS. Because this is going to reduce it, I would assume, to 45. Roughly right around there. If you're playing Soul Rot. And I would also assume that this is probably like a node below Soul Rot. So they might have like moved Creeping Death and put this like after Decaying Soul Satchel. I'm not really sure. Gotta see where that goes. But this is not gonna be some random node off on the side by itself. It's going to connect to Soul Rot somehow, I would assume, right? The final one here being Grim Reach. And this is another cool one. Another thing we've been giving feedback on for a while. A choice against Wilfrid's Sigil of Superior Summoning in this row here. When Dark Lair deals damage, it deals 50% of that damage to all enemies affected by your damage over time effects. So Dark Lair's Eye Beam Well, now finally AoE. And the cool thing about this is it's not just targets that have agony on them, like we suggested. It's literally any target that has dots on it. So it's like corruption, which is not capped from seed, bile taint, agony spreading, other dots in general. Like Dark Lair will AoE eye beam as a baseline 2-minute cooldown. So you have the choice now of taking Wilfred's in single target. I guess in settings where you want it, maybe over Grim Reach, in, you know, where you don't get like that cleave, right? Chances are pretty high if it stays this way. I'm not taking this anyways because in single target, because Wilfred is still terrible for Affliction, but you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And they also mentioned that they've rearranged several talents on the left side of the tree, and they will continue to wait on feedback. So overall, this looks theoretically really good. AF is going to become a more dot-based, like, spender kind of spec. I'm pumped for this. I'm mostly excited about Creeping Death, though. Like, this has been a dead talent for years, but with this change, if it is what we think it is for Rapid Contagion-esque kind of playstyle, it could be really good. So, Demonology Tree. Overall, we're happy with the community's reception of the Demonology Tree, but have some changes and iterations we'd like to make, which is mostly how I feel, too. Number 1. Off the bat, demonic consumption has been removed and replaced with Reign of Tyranny. So Decon is here. Everybody knows what Decon is. Thankfully, it is gone. Now, I will say right now, we'll read Reign of Tyranny. It does seem pretty similar to Decon, but we'll see where it goes. So, Reign of Tyranny. Active wild imps grant 1 stack of demonic servitude. Active greater demons, I would assume, are like anything besides imps, dogs, vile fiends, grimoires, things from Nether Portal. Grant 2 stacks of demonic servitude. If demonic tyrant deals 3% additional damage for each stack of demonic servitude active at the time of his summon. So I mean, I haven't run the math yet. Let's think out loud. So you typically have, I would assume your baseline Felguard being 2. So that's 2, Grimoire being 4, Vile Fiend being 6. You have 3 dogs. So that's what are we at now? We're at 12. That's 12, right? So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Anywhere from like 18 to 21 stacks. That's like a pretty good bit. Let's say 20. That's what, 60% damage increase on Tyrant. So it is still Decon-esque. It's still based around pets you have out, but there's no health siphoning. There's no, oh, I got stamina. I got a stamina boost here. Let's rally around the Warlock CDs. There's no soul burning a health stone to get more, a higher health pool for more pet damage. It's literally just like, hey, you have more pets out. You're rewarded for having them out and for tighter play around your Tyrant, which is a pretty cool change. Decon, let's be honest, Decon needed to go. This entire tree sort of being warped around Decon, even over here. Like, and chances are high you take like Demonic Embrace and the other like stamina increasing nodes either way, and you probably still take Vile Fiend and Grimoire and things when you're playing that build. But there might be a little more wiggle room depending where it goes. It's all based around tuning, but it will be a 1.5-minute damage profile versus a minute because it is indeed paired, I would assume, against Wilfred's here. But we'll see where that goes. So, all right, moving on. Demonic Consumption was largely invisible in terms of how much power your Tyrant was getting, and encourage utilizing defensive cooldowns, I would assume being like Soulburn, Hellstone thing, or like Rally, right? For maximum throughputs. With Reign of Tyranny, we're trying something that is more visible to players and with better controllable scaling, which is, yeah, that's pretty fair. So, all right, Guillotine, which was hold this for me, is now playable and available for testing, is this ability here. So we have both Summon Jailer, Inquisitor's Gaze being here and here behind my camera, and hold this for me being testable, which is now Guillotine tomorrow, I would assume, whenever the build comes out. Your Felguard hurls an axe at his target. Basically, he throws his axe, does a bunch of damage in AoE, and starts punching things, which is pretty cool, testable. We'll figure it out. We'll see how it goes. The final ability here is Ner'zhul's Volition. It's been updated. This is also very, very similar to what we said in the spreadsheet, because Ner'zhul's Volition, giving 10 more seconds to Nether Portal is very cool, but also like that makes a 25 to half minute, like 25 second to half minute opener, and which is like not very realistic at all in most settings. So this change is very nice. The feedback doc suggested like spending, like you get 2 pets per shard or an extra pet per shard. I think this change here is very undertuned. Chance to pretty high, this ability is still very bad at this low of a chance to summon demons. It needs to be buffed, probably. We'll test it out. But for being a 2-point node, having a whopping 4% chance per soul shard spent, that is not very large, right? You'll have, depending on the summons you put out, maybe 1 extra pet possibly, unless you get like crazy RNG, maybe 2. RNG is RNG. But the interesting thing here, and the wording on this, is per soul shard spent. Nether Portal is still every time you spend shards. So Nether Portal still encourages the, you know, Shadow Bolt hand, Shadow Bolt hand, Shadow Bolt hand playstyle. This doesn't really care either way, though. I mean, it's worded in a way like that it would sort of like imply you follow your normal rotation of, you know, 3 shards hand, 2 shard dogs. So we'll see where that goes. It's like beating a dead horse talking about the Nether Portal changes and how it should be just based on shards spent and not whenever you spend shards. If they want to change it, they should change it to that. If they want to make it, you know, if they want to change Portal to X demons based on shards spent, that'd be great. Either way, we're focusing on this. It's a cool ability. It's pretty similar to like the spreadsheet or the feedback doc, but at the same time, this is way too low, I think. It probably needs a pretty large buff to be relevant. And we'll see where this is at tomorrow too, because this is currently way undertuned as well, but might get buffed. But overall, the demo tree, like, yeah, the implosion part's over here, but I said last night, even in the feedback video, that most of the issues lie in this vicinity right here. And it looks like, well, this vicinity here. It looks like with decon being changed and this being at least addressed in some form, they're taking steps to, I guess, well, fix those issues. Alrighty, and finally for destruction. Now, Destro got a couple changes. I think the Destro tree is in a pretty good spot. Like they said, we're happy with how Destro has shaped up, basically, but there are a few changes they want to make. So, number 1, Backdraft now affects Soulfire. This is from last build. It's still there. It's nice, sure. There you go. Merry Christmas. Number 2, Dimensional Rift is now in the Destruction tree as a choice against Chaos Incarnate. I don't actually like this change, but we'll talk about it in a minute here. But the big question is, what is replacing Dimensional Rifts in this tree? Because we've lost both Decimating Bolt, which is a good thing overall, and lost Dimensional Rifts now, and we've lost all the packs, being Eridar, Anilion, and Imp Mother. So there's a lot of, like, changes coming to this part of our class tree. I'm very curious to see what it looks like on Tuesday. Chances are decent. We have, like, a few just work in progress nodes here, but they've done a lot as far as like changes go this build. So anyways, Dimensional Rift paired against Chaos Incarnate. I think Chaos Incarnate is very good, and probably being undervalued a good bit. Chances are pretty high you probably want Chaos Incarnate against Dimensional Rift. I would like to see Rift, like, I think pairing Rift like maybe against, like, I'm not even sure, like, I mean, pair Rift against Power Overwhelming, that'd be great, but I mean, it needs to be like a 1-point node, and I don't really know where you put it. Like, maybe you put it over here with like where Burn to Ashes is and move this somewhere else. I don't know. Putting it against Chaos Incarnate, I would assume, it depends on sims, it probably means you're not going to take it a whole lot. They're good, but I think this ability is probably pretty undervalued and very good right now. In the end, we'll see where it goes, but I want both. Both Chaos Incarnate and DRS are very cool, but not having access to both is a bit of a disappointment because I want to play both. So we'll see where that goes. But the cool thing, it's moved from the class tree to Destro tree. Good step, or good change. Hopefully they change the positioning on it, but overall, good step in the right direction. Very happy with it. Combusting Engine has been removed and replaced with Explosive Potential. I would assume this name changes. They probably just forgot it was a demo thing back in the day, but Combusting Engine is gone. Thank God. Combusting Engine is terrible. I don't like it. Nobody likes it. Let me rephrase that. So, Explosive Potential reduces the cooldown of conflict rate by 2 seconds. So, I mean, baseline conflict rate, what is it right now? I'm thinking of cinders in my head as well. It's what? 12 seconds right now without cinders or haste DRs and things, right? Because we're on alpha. So you're looking at like a 10-second-ish, right around there, conflict rate, cast time. It's a step in the right direction. I was still I played over Combusting Engine any day, right? So basically, like what? Once every, I guess, 5 conflict rates, you're getting a free one, give or take. Plus, you can also pair this with improved conflict rate, which adds value here. Now, it's not full Cinders of the Azakir legendary, where it's like reduced cooldown on conflict rate and all that stuff, but it's a step in the right direction. Combusting Engine is miserable to play with, and I don't want it. Now, we suggested Flashover last night, replacing Combusting Engine, but this, while this might not be as good as Flashover necessarily, we don't get like 4 stacks of backdraft and things. It helps. Conflict rate, backdraft, improved conflict rate. It's a step in the right direction. Happy with it overall. Chaos Shards have been removed and replaced with Scalding Flames. I don't know why it's gone. It's fine. It's sort of a cool ability, but it is what it is. Scalding Flames increases the damage of Immolate by 13 and 25%. So, unfortunately, there could be a bit of a synergy here with Internal Combustion. There very well might be. Internal Combustion is not a fun ability either. It's like Combusting Engine. Anything with combustion in the name for a Warlock is not fun. Let's get rid of it. But either way, I would assume, actually, yeah, the actual Scalding Flames talent connects to improved Immolate. It's fine. You probably take it. I'd rather have Chaos Shards. I think it's pretty cool. But they did make it a 2-point node. 13 and 25 versus this being 1. So we got to see where that's going to go with points. You might just skip it. Even though it's not a huge part of your damage. But we'll see. And we'll see where it, how it scales with internal combustion and things like that. And their response is, we're removing chaos shards to ensure Destro's soul shard generation is at a healthy cadence rather than overflowing, which I don't think it's overflowing at all. But you do have access to embers and flashpoint and things, and like, early AoE and when mobs are spawning, and just embers is good in general. So I get their concern. We'll see where it goes. Overall, Destro tree is still fine. Getting rifts in the Destro tree, once again, overall a positive. I don't like it being paired against Chaos Incarnate because both are good. I want both of them. This is a great change here. I don't know what this change is about totally, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I mean, Destro overall is still, I think, in a pretty good spot. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. These changes I'm pretty pumped about. The Demo and Aff, like, okay, it's Aff I'm most excited about, followed by Demo and then Destro. And I'm not like disappointed in Destro. It's just that like the changes aren't as impactful. Getting Rift in the Clash tree is really cool. Having it paired against Chaos Incarnate is a bit but I mean, the Aff changes, this is almost like a new spec, right? Like, you're still going to Rapture, but your dots matter again. And they found a way to keep Rapture around as a spender, which, whether you like it or not, empowers UA. I commend them for this change. It's risky, but I think it could very well work out. And no Death Bolt, thank God. No Malefic Wrath, thank God. And dude, Creeping Death? It's like a baby rapid contagion, if the wording is right. It looks really, really cool. I'm pumped for all these changes. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of these changes in the comment section below. And I guess while you're down there, drop your favorite spec, I guess, based around these. Like, I want to know, like, my app enjoyers have to be out there somewhere. It's been like Demo and Destro lovers. Where are the app enjoyers? But yeah, with all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you like the video and want to see more, smash the like and sub buttons below. It helps out a ton. I also want to give one big shout out to my patrons before we end the video. Thank you guys for all support on Patreon a million times. I really, really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, there should be a link up here, as well as down in the video description below. With that being said, I will catch you all again soon, I guess tomorrow, for all these changes on stream. Peace.